and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and this week we're doing a 2024 compilation. It will be the best of all of our episodes from 2024 based upon viewer interactions and view counts and things of that nature. We hope you enjoy, and we'll be right back after the holiday break. Please continue to tune in Monday and Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays, Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays, everything else, movies, twists, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I send you back to the show. Happy holidays.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Chris Abercon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, sir? So, welcome back to the show. So, Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. So, last week was a throwback, but this week should be Rebecca Skeet from the Black Girls Hack organization. And then Fridays, everything else. So, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon. Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from Fortune.com, written by Greg Trudell and Bloomberg, actually. So the title of this one is Software Company Plans to Pay Tens of Millions in Ransom to Hackers Who Crippled Car Dealerships Across North America. So here's where we go again, where we have, one product that's used across multiple different, I don't want to say agencies, but different entities, right? So what we have is CDK is the company that provides this software that's used by these car dealerships, and they use it for all types of things, right? They use it for car sales, car maintenance, car deliveries, and so what ended up happening was they had an attack on this system that ended up crippling. I think they said it was 15,000 dealerships across America, right? And because of that, there were some dealerships that went to pen and paper to where they were writing down orders, or if it came to them doing service, and there were some that for several days, right? Like they couldn't do anything at all. They were like, we can't do any type of thing at all. Like no maintenance to be performed, no car sales, which hurts, right? Because the auto industry in U.S. sales last year, they talk about they made 1.2 trillion with a T, not with a B. Tango, $1.2 trillion in U.S. sales last year, and this is how it affected that, right? So you already know these car companies aren't happy with CDK, right? But this comes down to, okay, we've talked about this before in the past, right? Like, so what is your secondary and tertiary when it comes to these types of things that happen? Because when you start relying on technology and you put all your eggs in one basket, this is what it does to you, right? This is what can happen from that. So CDK they haven't announced who's behind this intrusion or who's been responsible for it, but it let the customers know, hey, outside parties are reaching out to customers attempting to capitalize on the confusion, right? Because when you start doing their scheduling to try to get your car fixed or something like that, this is that opportunity where people can come in, and those second and third order effects we always talk about end up taking hold, right? So they're telling people, they're like, hey, please only respond to known CDK employees and communications. If you see something new that doesn't look right, it probably is not right. Do not respond to it. But again, this is in this age of technology and where we live, this is what can happen when you put all your eggs in one basket like this. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
My first thoughts were, why don't they go to pen and paper? Because that's what, if you read down to the comments, they're like, why don't they go back to pen and paper? We used to have car dealerships that didn't have these computer systems, right? Why can't we just, do things manually? Unfortunately, the way things work nowadays is everything's integrated to like this one CDK system, to where it ties into billing, it ties into, their clearinghouse, it ties into the customer relationship management systems and things like that. Right. So one system like this is essentially tied to a bunch of the operational side of the actual dealerships themselves, so that if they decided to, they came to the conclusion that because they're so integrated with CDK, it would be better not to do any work, right? Versus, hey, let's do things on the back end. So like from a business perspective, I'm just thinking, does that make sense? But when it comes down to it, if their credit billing and all that stuff is tied to CDK, they don't can they not accept cash payments? That's kind of the first things that I think about. They probably can't, right? So just saying, like you were saying, the how this is so integrated into the business operations of a lot of these dealerships. It's just really really interesting. But then again, like you said, redundancy, backups and things like that. That's how crucial the operations are to these dealerships. Then one thing from another article from Yahoo, they did mention that certain manufacturers like Toyota and Subaru were not affected, right? So that to me was a little bit interesting. But manufacturers from European, American, right, dealerships were affected as well. So again, it really depends on which corporations were using CDK. But to me, again, redundancy, the human factors, this training, right? The training between the employees. Because one of the first things I thought about when I read this article was we've all been to dealerships, right? We've all sat down on the counter and with sales or somebody, a lot of those computers are untended, right? They're just chilling there. Or even a big one is actually, I remember waiting in a service center room, right? Unlocked computer, service guy didn't care, right? And I could have shoulder surfed and just, checked out what he was doing, right? All day. Again, we don't know how the attack came about, but there is those little soft targets, right? So it's the last places to think about security is in car dealerships. It's like, hey, we want people to come in because we want to sell these cars. So just tying in the security culture to a dealership, it's kind of the last place you think about, or I mean, really, but it just goes to show you that security is ubiquitous, right? How we think about cybersecurity is ubiquitous throughout all industries. I think Shannon hit it right in that.
So I want to respond to you on what you're talking about, right? With them going to pen and paper, right? And to me, the answer is they don't know how, right? And this is the same thing we're seeing in our school system right now. They stopped teaching cursive long ago, right? Like my oldest son barely knows cursive, if at all. You know what I mean? Because like there was a point in his coming up through the public school system to where it just was not something that was taught, right? We are quickly approaching that age where children are not going to know what to do with pen and paper, right? Because even the arts, when it comes to schools, they're getting rid of those things, right? So when it comes to them, drawing, sketching, doing things like that, it's just not common anymore. They're coming up on the age where the only thing they know what to do is put hands on a keyboard and do whatever it is they need to do. That's why I think the answer, because like, you got the older heads, right, at these dealerships that are like, yeah, I got the original computer, it's a pencil, like your print is this front side where you write on, your delete is this eraser, right? Like that's the old school computer to them. But these new people coming in like 22, 23, 24 years old that are becoming salespeople, no idea. You have no idea.
Very good point.
Ryan, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say before I jump in, so please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the month. It's getting kind of tight. We want to get as close as possible, so by the end of the year we can try to hit 1,000. And then the newsletter is still growing, so we're almost up to 1,400 subs. So definitely continue to check that out. And then again, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask CISSPs, interview type situation on Thursdays, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So two things from this article. So thing number one, like you guys are saying, like, yes, mass chaos. So it's 15,000 dealerships that don't know how to work outside of that system. And there's only a handful of other types of dealerships that use a different product, probably something in-house or something from overseas. Most likely, like something that's more tailored or custom, right? Like this is the this is the easy button, is what CDK was, at least at the time. So you don't want 15,000 different companies doing something different. You want to quickly get back online, and that's why CDKs talk about paying. So someone spoke, it's always off the record, or no, it's on the record, but anonymity, right? Like don't say my name, but this is on the record. They're talking about paying them tens of millions of dollars to get their systems back online. Again, soft target. You had 15,000 plus dealerships all relying on one particular type of software. You hit that one target, you impact the field, and like Shannon said, it's a 1.2, $1.3 trillion industry. So they're probably going to pay. And it just feeding the stray cats. So now they're going to look for the next targets. Okay, so either we're going to double dip on these guys and get back in there again and shut dealerships down, or this gives us the capital as well as the motivation to find another single-use software or something that's impacting a big industry, and then go from there. So this won't be the last time you see this, like A, because they're thinking about paying, but B, because they probably will pay. So and most likely it's being attributed to somewhere in the Baltic area is what they believe it to be. So we don't know if it was Russia specifically, but if one of their cousins, if it's not Russia themselves. So yeah, I expect to see this again later on this year or next year, feeding the stray cat.
So you know what I'm curious about though, because like you guys mentioned, right? There's a couple major dealers that were not affected, right? Toyota and Subaru, right, were not affected. So I wonder if it's because their cybersecurity is better, or because they were not as big a target, right? Like I'd be curious to know what that is. And that the program that we use, their cybersecurity is just we got better a better way of operating than these other guys.
Or they're using a different system, right? Maybe,
they're the one off.
Well, so, that's what I'm saying. Their system, right? Like it's a different system, or they'd be effective, right? Like they're not using CDK. So like in their system, is it better cybersecurity in their system, right? Did they bake it in from the beginning, like you're supposed to, or did they possibly tack it on? And I'm guessing with CDK. I'm not gonna say it's the case.
I would say not to hurt future partnerships. If Subaru wants to send me some ads in the future. But I would say it's like the old Apple methodology, right? Like Apple didn't really have to have robust security features because everybody was attacking Windows because they're the more prevalent operating system. So these people probably were like, hey, we can either hit these 15,000 or we hit this handful of Subaru dealerships. Let's hit this 15,000.
For the record, I love my Subaru.
here in Colorado, man, I think they have like the number one Subaru dealer in America. I think
that would make sense.
It makes sense. That's symmetrical all the drive.
Yeah, that makes sense in that area because Florida has the number one Ford dealer. Brandon Ford is the number one Ford dealer in the world. So good old Florida. we love our trucks. But yeah, I think it's just because they're one off. Like I could be wrong. Like maybe they do have a robust suite or protection, or they have just a better mousetrap. But most likely is it because they were the oddball. They were like, nah, we're gonna go for the biggest target possible. Let's focus all of our resources here, hit them, CDK that is, and then go from there. Which they did cause mass chaos. So I'm gonna be interested to see how much they pay, like if that's ever disclosed. Because in my thinking, I would think that the Department of Justice or the FBI or someone would step in and be like, please don't pay. Like you're not critical infrastructure. Yep. However, you are nationwide, right? Like this is a nationwide problem. So if you pay them, this just gives it's just more fuel to the fire. But I mean, it's a business decision at the end of the day. So if they want to quickly get their systems back up, sure. But then hopefully you have some money reserved for when they hit you again. So you didn't fix the problem. you just try to pay your way out.
Make sure you got that cyber insurance.
You're gonna get raked over the coals because of this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I would be stubborn because you're gonna get hurt one way or the other. Like,
exactly.
Is it easy for these 15,000 to replace you? Is there like a number two system out there? Potentially, but it's just easier to get you back online and to keep working with you with some kind of insurances to say that this won't happen again. But I think on the worst part is if you get hit again, then your reputation is in the toilet. So we'll see what they decide to do, but definitely keep a track of this. I don't plan on buying a car anytime in the near future, so thank God. For all we know, like it might be some car sales pretty soon because they have to recoup their money for the end of the month or however they.
And it's the end of the quarter. They brought that up in the article too, right? This wreaks havoc on the end of quarter like numbers, right? Because that's when they do their reporting for like these car companies, like every 3 months. And we're it's the end of June, right? They got to do a report, and if it drops off, they're gonna be like, "Hey, we got a third quarter sale coming up." Like, what holiday is that?
Right. What's that? The movie, The Goods. Hey, if anybody's ever seen The Goods, check that movie out. It's hilarious.
Jeremy
It's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit older, but that's car dealerships in a nutshell. But yeah, continue to tune in. We'll keep track of this. It already updated before we even aired, right? So we already had it on the docket, and then there's an update that they may pay. So I assume by next week we'll know if they paid or not, and then go from there. So continue to tune in. Monday, Tuesday, topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP, which will be with Rebecca Skeet from Black Girls Hack. It's a really good interview. And then Fridays, everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So hit me up on all the social media platforms. I am at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, all the places. Either as The Other Side of the Firewall, RY Security Guy, or Ask a CISSP. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me, Chris Abacon. Spelled A Bacon.
There it is. A Bacon.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay secure.